Hopefully that's working now. Yep. Okay. A few announcements before we get started. There were handouts outside of upcoming events, and one of them has a mistake on it. Lunch and Learn is coming up on January 9th, which is this Thursday. It is not a Monday, so that's going to be Economy in Mequon. LOMED Book Club, this one's going to be really fun. The Hate You Give is a great book, or if you have time for the book, the movie. And we're opening it to teens, so if you have teenage kids you want to bring, you're welcome to. And that is on January 15th. February 20th, we've got another book club, which is about the diary of David, and I gotta learn how to say that name, who was in the Lodz Ghetto, and it's really a fascinating read. That'll be a good discussion. We're doing that together with Herc and the Jewish Museum. Sorry, the Hate You Give is together with JCRC and Tikkun Ha'ir. And bringing the meaning and joy of Judaism into early childhood, which will be good for a lot of you, is going to be February 25th, and we're doing that one at MJP, Mequon Jewish Preschool. So those are upcomings, and most importantly, the awards for the Salute to Educators. You guys ever wonder how people get those curriculum awards and mitzvah awards? You gotta apply for them. Curriculum and mitzvah awards are for projects you did a year ago. Not for the 1920 school year, but from the 1819 school year. So think about great things you did and apply. The forms are really not that long. You know me, I don't do long forms, so that's due by January 15th. If you know anyone who is an informal educator, not classroom teacher, but think other things, youth group, camp, stuff like Friendship Circle, stuff that's different, there's an award for that. You can nominate someone. And Jewish Educator of the Year, which comes with a $1,000 prize. You can also nominate for somebody for that. It has to be somebody who's worked in Jewish education Milwaukee for at least 5 years. So this is how to nominate everybody, January 15th. So I am thrilled that this is the first LOMED class, and hopefully the first of many that we're having here at the Friendship Circle Cafe. And I'm really excited about the topic. This is one of them that we got the topic from our back to school workshop. People said they were really interested to hear what Judaism has to say about disabilities and more about inclusion in the classroom. So I'm going to stop talking for the rest of the night and turn this over to Leah Stein. I'm going to let her tell you about herself and the amazing, amazing work that she and her husband do in Milwaukee and to teach us.
See everybody. Hi, my name is Leah Stein. I'm breaking. Okay. So before we start, I would love to hear who all of you are. Some of you I do know, some of you I don't. So I'd love to get to know you, and it could be that some of you don't know each other. It'd be great to get to know each other. So if you're able to just tell us your name, and if you are an educator or in any type of position that affects children or in our community, I'd love to hear. And then we can definitely start. It's going to be a great night. It's going to be really fun. So would you like to start?
Sure. I am Cindy Hamill, and I teach 2nd grade at Shalom, and this is my first year teaching there.
That's great. Thank you.
Molly. Hi, sorry. I'm Nicole Boyko. I also teach at Shalom. I teach 3rd grade. I was a special ed teacher prior to that in public education, so I'm really excited about this one as well.
Very nice.
I'm Melissa Pennants, and I teach all ages,
Early childhood at Altman-Shafer.
Very nice. Welcome.
I'm Kosha, and I'm working at and
Hi, welcome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sari. I teach K-5 at Shalom.
I'm Stephanie. I was a special ed teacher, and we'll be starting working at Islands of Brilliance, which is an organization for people with autism, and they created like the little logos on the Friendship Circle.
They did all our branding.
Yeah,
They did.
so I'll start there on Friday. Islands of Brilliance. Yeah, so I'm very excited.
They have people with special needs, especially autism, doing graphic design, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. So thank you.
And Siti and I teach teachers.
Thank you.
Hi, in the corner. I'm Stacy Mason. Oh,
sometimes,
thank you.
don't worry. Okay.
I currently teach right now reading at Hillel Academy, and then I just help out for an hour a week at Jewish Beginnings with any referrals or any observations. My background is in early childhood special education, and I taught in that field for many years, so special education is really my passion. So I'm excited.
Thank you.
I'm Mandy, and I teach 1-year-olds at Gamini Method.
Nice, thank you. Welcome.
I'm Josephine, and I work at Gamini Method as well, and I work in the different religious care.
Nice. This is good representation. You've got to be met one. That's awesome.
And I work at Gamini Method.
No way.
This is my crew. They come to all my stuff. It's awesome.
I think we can have another person sit here. We can just move this here. Like that, yeah. All right, sorry.
I'm Jennifer, and I teach 5th grade in Manila.
Hi, okay, wonderful. Thank you. Welcome.
And I do both and I teach Operation Sinai, and I also do chaplaincy work during the day.
All right, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Hey, there is a seat here, and there's a seat up below. We can make this a seat.
This one might be hard, but we could put somebody in there.
Yeah. Put a chair here.
Do you want to just slide this chair over there?
Gary, I just wanted to say thank you because Lainey was like, am I going to be outnumbered? Thank you. That's why you're here? Thank you. All right, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Gary Shuck, and I'm just learning.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
I'm Carrie Barbercott, and I am the education director at Emmanuel Baptist.
Thank you. Welcome. All right.
I'm Fava Edelman, and I teach kindergarten at Milwaukee Community School, and the director of Milwaukee Community School.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you everyone for being here. I just want to tell you what an honor it is to be here in front of you. I feel like all of you have so much experience and so much knowledge. We all, like as educators, we can all be sharing with each other and helping each other. So it's a real honor to be here and to be speaking to you tonight. My name is Leah Stein, and I'm originally from New York. I worked as a therapist for the Board of Ed for cognitive and behavioral development for children preschool age through high school. And it was a wonderful experience. I really, really enjoyed it. I did see, though, there was something that was really missing from kids who had all various disabilities, was that they had so many educational goals and therapists and teachers and all these adults hovering over them, especially in New York. There's a lot of adults hovering, but they were missing something that was missing, and that was friendship. And I did feel like that was something that was, they didn't have the real authentic friendship. They didn't have people who just cared about them for who they were. And as we're going to learn today, that's really the most crucial part of everyone needs that. So when it came about for us to move to Friendship Circle here, it was like the perfect match. It just totally made sense. Friendship Circle is all about creating socialization for kids and adults with special needs. So that's what we do here, and we do a lot of different things for that. But today we're going to talk about what Judaism says about disability and inclusion in the classroom and beyond. This is very dear, of course, to all of us. If we take one person out, we take all of us out. So let's talk about how that works with Judaism. So the goal of this course is to transform our lenses and change the way we view and educate students. Okay, we're going to take away those barriers and create a real inclusive community. It's a pretty lofty goal. Let's see, we're going to do it. All right, so let's first talk about defining disability. So if you look at the ADA, what is a disability? Do you mind, can you read that?
Defining disability, a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities of such individual.
Thank you. So, a physical and mental impairment. This we know. I'm sure that many of us know somebody with a disability. If you do know someone with a disability, can you raise your hand? Okay, wow, well, we're educators, right? But at the same time, a lot of times people are like, oh, people with disabilities. Oh, I know someone, my neighbor's cousin's uncle has a disability. But I just want to tell you, actually, there is an estimated 56.7 million people with a diagnosed disability in America, and that is 20% of our population. So that is 1 in 5 people have a diagnosed disability. That's a really large number. That's actually the biggest minority in America, is people with disabilities. So we're not just talking about people who live on the Himalayan mountains. Oh, I've heard of them. You know, they have weird customs. No, this is people in our community, in our lives, our neighbors, our family, our friends, people, and sometimes, again, we're going to talk about this, but how is it possible that 20% of our population has a disability? Well, actually, a lot of times we can see a disability. For example, this boy in a wheelchair, we know that he has a disability, and we know that if we see him go to a door and the door is closed, of course our humanity is going to kick in and be like, oh, let me help you, let me open the door, right? Like, automatically we care and we love this person and we want to help them. Because that's how we are. We're human beings and we care. The thing is, the problem is, some differences you can't see. And that's really where many times it's hard for our society, when you can't see a disability. So of course, when someone looks like me and you, what happens? Our expectations change. If someone goes to the door and they're standing there, it's like, open it. You could do it, open it. And suddenly our patience is not there as much. Our kindness, oh, let me help you, it's gone, right? Because we're like, if I could do it, you could do it. That's usually our expectation of how we are. So let me ask you a question. Do any of you know anybody who is annoying, awkward, gets in the way, says comments, or has meltdowns for no reason? I'm sure none of you know such people. Students, friends, anybody?
Yes.
Can't be? Yes? Okay, some of you do? Okay, wonderful. Excellent. Well, so the question really is this person just annoying? Or is this person struggling with something and fighting a battle that we don't know about? And it's something that we can't see with our eyes. So I know you all know how the brain works and how our five senses work, so we're just going to review it really short and recap. But the brain processes information, right, from our five senses. And because we're all different, and we're created a little bit differently, everyone's created differently, the brain is processing different information in different ways. So many of us our brain will process certain things faster than others. So some of us might be really good at math. Are any of you good at math? I'm not going to raise my hand, but okay. Okay, are any of you good at writing or literature? Okay, super. Are any of you musical? No one's musical here? Our poor students. Okay, what about sporty? Is anybody sporty? Well, anyway, all of us have different strengths and weaknesses because our brain processes things differently. Okay, this is a picture of our brain. I'm not going to make anybody analyze this all, but as you can see that this is our brain is literally a computer that processes everything. And everything that's going on into the world, every stimuli that's all around us is processed through our brain. Everything. So, stand up if you like sushi. Awesome. Great, okay, good. You can sit down. Excellent. Okay. Stand up if you like to work out. Awesome. Okay. Stand up if you like big crowds. Some people love big crowds. They get a hype from it. They love it. Yeah. Okay, party girl. And some people can't stand it. Okay. Stand up if you like Brussels sprouts. Nice. Okay, good. So some people love it, and some people feel like it's slimy or it's chewy. Okay, stand up if you like a roller coaster. Anybody? Some people get a real lot of roller coasters, and some people really don't. Yeah, right? Yeah. I hear what you're saying. So because all of us are unique sensory beings, we're all very different. Just like our brains process math or English faster or slower, in different ways, so too our senses are processed differently. So some of us will like certain things that we wear, certain things to eat, certain things, activities to do, because again, that's our brain processing the sensory and the stimuli that's all around us. So this I know that many of us understand this. We also have students that are like this that will have they'll be either hypersensory or hyposensory, right? Either the senses will be processed too quickly or too strongly, or on the other flip side, it will be hyposensory, which is not enough. The senses are not processed fast enough or not enough, so they need more stimulation. And we could talk about what that means, but obviously there's a curve, and we are all somewhere on there, and in different ways, right? So also another part that's processed differently is our perception. Our perception of reality is processed differently. So for example, if you look at the left, so are there 4 or are there 3? If you look at the left picture.
I started with 3 and I see 4.
It depends where you look. Very good. They're both right, because one of them sees 4 and one of them sees 3, right? What about the picture to the right? What do you see? You can call out whatever you see.
Somebody playing
Playing saxophone.
coming
Okay.
out of it, anyone else?
A woman's face, excellent. So there's really two images there. But guess what? Someone might say they see a dinosaur. It could be. Someone might say that because our brain processes things differently. We all process things a little bit different. Some of you saw a man playing a saxophone. Some of you saw a woman. Everybody sees something else. Again, because our eyes are just sending messages to our brain, and then our brain processes whatever it is that we're seeing. So sometimes with our students and with our friends and even with ourselves, the most mundane tasks can be such a struggle. And our friends, and we can't even see it. We can't see what's going on. So for example, a child who has sensory dysfunction, okay? They have sensory dysfunction. So they're putting on a sock. Simple task. Why are they freaking out? What's wrong with you? What's going on over here? Why? Because that's what it looks like, but what it feels like an alligator is biting their foot. Do you have any students that are like going like this all the time, can't stand certain materials, don't like certain things, right, tights or itchy material? Many times they will have a sensory dysfunction of a certain kind. What about, there also are some people that if you tap them, it feels like you're stabbing them with a hammer or a knife. And so someone could freak out, like, stop touching me, but meanwhile, you're just tapping them, but that person feels it very, very strongly. And that person feels that tap very, very strongly. So again, that would be a sensory dysfunction, which many of us wouldn't see it. You can't see a sensory processing disorder, but it's there. That's one kind. Another kind is our audio. So our audio is right now, in this room right now, there's a lot of rustling. There's our shoes moving, someone's drinking something, someone's moving, tapping their foot. There's actually cars driving outside. The lights are making noise, the heater's on. But what do? Naturally, what do? We tune it out. We've learned to filter noises out that are not important. And we've learned to know what's important and what's not. Again, many students and many of our friends or neighbors or whoever would see somebody who would have auditory processing disorder, they might not be able to filter out that noise. And so for them, they hear everything or they hear nothing, right? It depends if they're hypo, hyper, right? It depends where they're on that curve. So for example, when you're just talking, it sounds like just about every sound can feel like someone took a microphone to it and set it on full blast. So that can be very, very overwhelming for someone who's in a crowd of people, like we saw before. They're in a crowd of people, and there's so much going on because they hear every single sound. Can you imagine how hard that is to concentrate? I mean, gosh, that must be really, really hard. Vestibular movement. This is more. Does anyone know where your sense of balance is? Ears.
Ear.
Very good, excellent. So somebody who will have that also a processing disorder would be their balance is uneven, and they would kind of feel like you have a cold or a flu or vertigo. Any of you had any of that, like that dizzy feeling? And if you know any students that are super clumsy, that drop things, that hold things, it's very possible that they are working through and they're battling this. And this is what they see every day. They don't see a clear picture, they would see a blurry, everything would be a little bit blurry. That's hard to live with, right? That's like really hard. And you can imagine, these are just a few examples. There's so many different stimuli that we have in the world that we deal with every single day. It must be really, really hard for somebody to go through that and also communicate and also succeed in life and also do well in school. And the most challenging we found is communication skills, and that's why a lot of people with disabilities have a hard time communicating things to their peers, to authority, to their friends. And that can be a really, really big struggle to communicate with others. Okay, so these are just different types of disabilities that you find with school-age children. Many of you, I'm sure, have students like this, whether it's a physical disability, a developmental disability, a behavioral and emotional one, or sensory impaired. These are just some. Unfortunately, there's many, right? 20% of our population. It's a lot. So, before we talk about the Torah's vision, which I know that's really what we're here about, I just want to talk about the history in terms not of the Torah, but actually in our society. So, thank God, we've come so far from how it used to be. Disabilities was shunned upon. People who had a disability, families would hide their children. They would send them to asylums. There was such a shame of having a child who had a disability. There was something wrong with them, something wrong with the whole family, something wrong with their whole legacy. And families would feel extremely ashamed. And it was a big, big stigma for families who had children with a disability. So much so that they would hide them. Even now, today, yes, we've come a very long way, but we still have so much more to go. So in 1969, the ADA started, that was the first time they made an act, American Disabilities Act, that treating people with disabilities in a better way. The thing is that it has been better, but again, there's so much more to go. Why is that? Because if you look at our society today, we still have a lot of issues to work out. One of them is that we have a lot of children with disabilities who are integrated in our schools, which is amazing, right? We have kids with special needs in our schools. Kids who have any of this, what we talked about before, they're dealing with this, but they're in our school. So we have therapists for them, special educators, and that's wonderful. But what about the other kids that are in the class? We would call them neurotypical. That's the term we use, neurotypical. It changes very often, so it might change in another month or two. Right now we say neurotypical kids. So if you say a kid who's neurotypical, so what about them? They're not taught how to communicate to someone with a disability. They're not taught patience. They're not taught the love. Of course, we try to. We say, you have to be nice. Don't look at them. Don't say that. Shh. Right? How often do we do that to our children? I know I do that with my children too. And we see people with disabilities all the time, right? In Friendship Circle, we have people in our home with disabilities. We have people everywhere that we are. And sometimes my kids say things because they don't know. And the only way they know is if I teach them, right? Or if we as a society teach them and model for them. So that's something that's really a challenge for people in our society of how should we all be inclusive. So while society is evolving, but many times we don't really know how to communicate. So just to do a little let's just do a little like practice. We're going to I have some headbands here. I'm only going to ask 3 of you. I have a bunch, but I'm going to ask the 3 of you. If you can just tell us, I'm going to give you a hat. You don't know what's on it, okay? And I want you to talk to everyone, tell everyone what you did winter break, a highlight from your winter break, and we're all going to respond to you like what we see on your crown. Does that make sense? Yes?
I know.
Okay.
You mean without saying it, or what? No.
Yeah, so you know what? If I can have 3 volunteers come on up. Anybody? Oh, okay, all right, come on up.
Come on up.
Yeah, you can stand up.
Okay.
Anybody else? Zippy, good job, all right. Anyone else? All right, Stephanie. So brave. Okay, so I'm going to put something on your head and you don't know what it is. And you can show everybody so everyone can see what it is, but except for you. Okay. Thank you. Put this on your head. All right, come a little closer so everyone can see what it says. Okay. Okay, and then you can go on up to the front so everyone can see. So can I ask you something? Please, we're going to pretend that you are friends with disabilities and you are telling everyone cheering what they did on winter break, and we're going to treat you the way it says on the top, and you can guess what it says on top. So let's start with Stephanie. Stephanie, can you tell us what you did for winter break?
Yes, my brother is in medical school.
Wow, that's so nice. Good for you.
With his girlfriend, and we had so much fun.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Good for you. Good for you, Stephanie. That's great. Wow. Do you think you can guess what it says on your crown?
Like, treat me very kindly and overly enthusiastic.
Oh, look at it.
Yeah,
You felt like you're treated like a baby. Yeah. All right, good job. Excellent, Stephanie. Good job. Clap for you. Okay. So can you tell us what you did this winter break?
I didn't do a lot for winter break, but
Oh
I had a really nice day with Golan and Joshi. Joshi and I went to see Little Women, and Golan and Joel and Joshi and I went to see Star Wars, so that was a fun day.
So I'm sure you're feeling the love right now.
So much love.
Okay. I'm bored. Sorry. We love you, Tiffy.
I'm so excited. Okay.
Did you get the hint?
Yeah.
Did you read the room?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Did you
I
guess
didn't
what's on your crown?
Ignore her.
You are, good job. Excellent, give yourself a clap, all right. Okay, well, actually, this is just, it's fun to, this activity, but imagine really having to experience something like that. And the truth is, a lot of people are meaning well. We mean well. When we talk to Stephanie like she was a baby, it's because we didn't know better. We didn't know how to talk to her, and she was talking, and we were like, wow. And then sometimes someone talks for too much, and then you start rolling your eyes because we don't know how to tell the person, I'd love to hear what you have to say, but I have to run, let's talk more, or what are the steps of how to talk to someone with a disability? We get nervous, so we start avoiding them or ignoring them, right? Because we don't know what to do. And that's something that we're struggling with, that we have to figure out what to do about that. How should society communicate with people with disabilities? So good job. Excellent. That was great. Thank you. Okay, so knowing all of this, what can we do? And what is the Torah's perspective on disability inclusion? Ready? Okay. Well, if we're going to find out, we really can go back right straight to the Torah and right into the beginning of time to Bereshit, when it talks about how Hashem created man. And it says, this is straight from the words, God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. So when Hashem created Adam, the first man, right, it says that Hashem created him, God created him in his image. So, of course, many people have a question on this. I mean, yes, we understand that God created him in his image, but does God have an image? Does he have a body, a form that we are copied from? Do you know if God has a form? No. He does not have a form, right? One of the 10 Commandments is that God does not have a form. So we know that he doesn't have a form because he's unlimited. He's not limited to a form. So what does that mean that he has an image? What does that mean that we are created from an image of Hashem? That doesn't make sense. So there's many, many different beautiful talks on this. And the culmination of this is really that God doesn't have a form, but he expresses himself. His image is expressed through how he communicates with the world, with his finite creatures. That's how he communicates to the world. So he'll express wisdom, he'll express kindness, he'll express strictness. Those are all ways of his expression to us. And that is his image. That is how he's expressing himself to us. So when he created each person, he created them in his image, his expression. So every person is really a reflection, an expression of God. It's really a mind-blowing thing. Because if you think about it, we all have a soul inside of us, right? We all know that, we all say that. Because what happened? We know that God took man and he blew a soul into him, right? And we know that we say that God blew it from inside. It didn't just come, it wasn't exterior. He blew the soul into man from the inside of him. Which again, God doesn't have an inside, but again, it was from the innermost core of Hashem. That's where he blew that soul into Adam. So we know that every person inside of them had a piece of God, right? We call it a chelik alika yimal mamash, a piece of God inside of us. That we all know. And so that is beautiful, but guess what? Even more so. It's not just that, we have to love each other because our inside is what counts. Yes, our inside is what counts, but this is telling us it's not just our inside, it's also our outside. Our physical form is a reflection of God's perfection. It's actually mind-blowing. I'll give you a moment to think about it. But we're going to talk about this. So when we recognize that every single person has so much, their worth is so strong because they are representing godliness, suddenly that takes away anything, that takes away if a person could do or a person cannot do, right? Usually society nowadays, we say, is someone productive? Then they're worthy of something. Is someone not productive? Then they're not worthy of something. But in actuality, just our existence, because we are here, because our bodies are here, and God decided you were important enough to be born, and because our bodies were here in the form, in our godly image, we are important. Every single one of us are very important. So again, the soul inside of us is God's image within us, right? Our psyche, when we are kind, when we're wise, when we are creating all those expressions of godliness, that comes from inside of us. But in actuality, our physical bodies are an image of Hashem. And that's what it says straight in the Torah. So we know the story of the man that went around asking, the Torah's just too long. Can you just abridge version, please? Just tell it to me in really shortly. What's the main point of the Torah? What's the main point? And of course we know he went to Rabbi Shammai, and Rabbi Shammai said, it's way too long to start telling you. I can't abridge the Torah. I'm sorry, it's very long. You know, deal with it. And then he went to Rabbi Hillel, right? He went to Rabbi Akiva. He went to Rabbi Hillel. Yeah. Okay, sorry. He went to Rabbi Hillel. And Rabbi Hillel said, on one foot, he stood on one foot, and he said, I mean, he didn't stand on one foot, but we say that he stood on one foot, and he said that the most important thing is love your fellow as yourself, and the rest of it is details. That's what Rabbi Hillel said. So now there's a discussion in Gemara. There's a discussion between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Ben Azai. Both of them are there's an argument. Rabbi Akiva is saying the most important thing is to love each other. Love your fellow like yourself. That's the most important thing. We learned that from Rabbi Hillel. Ben Azai said, one step further, he said, respect is more. Respect is more important. So, with love, when we love each other, it's a feeling, right? It's kind of like a marriage, right? We love the person. We could be so in love and so amazed at the person. But love is a feeling. How long does it last? When we're in a bad mood, the feeling could go. It comes and goes with feelings, right? But with respect, when we respect the person, that's more factual. It's about the other person. When I know that you are an image of Hashem, I can't mess with that. That's not a feeling. That's a fact. So when I know that you are an image of Hashem, you are an actual image of godliness, there's everything else goes away. And I'm just full of respect. And when I build that respect, then I could have that love. Right? Because we start with respect and then we have love. This is kind of like a marriage class, by the way. Right? I mean, it's like this is how we could do this. So, respecting somebody, respect isn't limited to subjective feelings. The other person is always deserving of respect because of the fact. There's always that fact. The Tzelem Elokim, which means the image of Hashem, this is to protect the dignity of others, is to respect their divine image. When I respect you, I'm respecting Hashem. How could we mess with something like that? So now, of course, this is very, very lofty for all of us, right? To remember every single day that I shouldn't get mad at this person because they're an image of Hashem. That's really hard. Can you imagine? Right? That's a hard one. But imagine if we all did that. Just think about this week. If you had any altercations with anyone, I'm sure none of you did. I'm sure everything was perfect this whole week. But imagine you had a conversation, a controversy with somebody, and we had thought about this idea that every single person is an image of Hashem. How would that have changed your conversation? How would that have changed the controversy? I'll give you a minute to think about it. It's definitely something that can change us all. It can change the way we think. And again, we said the brain is everything, right? It's all about our mind. And if we remember that, and we talk to ourselves about that a lot, we keep telling ourselves this, it will come. It will happen. So let's talk about the history in Torah. There's a lot of people with disabilities. It's kind of wowing, how many people in the Torah. But let's talk about the greatest leader ever. Do you know the greatest Jewish leader ever? Moshe. Excellent, very good. And we know that Moshe, as a child, was saved by Batya, who was King Pharaoh's daughter. And Batya kept him in the palace, little Moshe. And he was a little kid. He was running around, and he saw King Pharaoh's crown. And he went to King Pharaoh's crown and grabbed it off his head. And King Pharaoh got really nervous because he felt like this is an omen. This is a sign that this little boy is going to grow up and take the Jews out of Egypt, which was actually true. King Pharaoh got it going on, right? He understood that, right? So he got nervous and he told his advisors, maybe this little boy is going to take me on one day. And so his advisors set up this challenge, right? They put a lot of coal with fire on one side, and they put gems and coins on the other side. And they said, either he's just a little boy and he likes shiny things, and don't worry about it. Or he's after your crown. So we're going to find out. If he touches the coins and the gems, it means he wants your crown. If he touches the coal and the fire, it means he likes fire. He likes shiny things, don't worry about it. So Moshe, this little boy, of course, he wasn't just any little boy, right? He was the greatest Jewish leader. So of course, what was he going for? The gems, because he really wanted King Pharaoh's crown, right? And as he was going for, an angel pushed his hand and he quickly hit the coals. The angel saved his life and pushed his hand and hit the coals. But the coals were so hot, they were on fire, that he put his fingers in his mouth and he burned his tongue. So what happened was that from then on, his tongue had a wound on it. and he had a little bit of a speech impediment. He had a hard time speaking. So when he grew up older and Hashem appeared to him, and I'm sorry, when I say Hashem, does that bother, should I say God? Is that confusing to any of you? How would you like me to it? I like to say Hashem, so I'll keep to it if that's okay. But if it's confusing to anyone, Hashem is God. Okay? Okay, Hashem is the Hebrew name for God. So when Hashem appeared to Moshe, and Hashem said, I want you to speak to Paro. Now, his job was to speak to Paro. It could have been any other job. His job could have been run, fly, punch, do any other physical activity. But Hashem told him to speak. Out of all things, come on. He had a speech impediment. Is that even fair? Come on. So of course Moshe said, I can't speak. He said, I beseech you, O Lord, I am not a man of words, neither from yesterday nor from the day before yesterday, nor from time you have spoken to your servant, for I am heavy of mouth and heavy of tongue. He told Hashem, come on, out of all things you want me to do, I'll do anything. Talking is not my strength. So now what Hashem could have done was, in a blink of an eye, he could have gotten rid of the speech impediment, right? He could have gotten rid of it, take it away. Hashem, you can do anything. But he didn't. He didn't take it away. Instead, he said, who gave man a mouth, or who makes one mute, or deaf, or seeing, or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? So he's saying, I know that you have a hard time speaking, but I want you to speak anyway. But I'll help you. I'll give you Aaron, your brother. He will help you speak. So he'll speak to King Pharaoh for you. But I still want you to speak. And I still want you to continue on, even though you have that disability. And Moshe did. He spoke to King Pharaoh, and he took the Jews out of Egypt. I mean, he did amazing, miraculous things, and yet he had that disability. It's really incredible when we think about it. Hashem could have taken away the disability, but he didn't. What was he trying to teach us? I think he was trying to give us strength now for every single person who has a challenge and a struggle. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It means you should figure out a way to do it. Figure it out. That's really amazing. You know, if you look back into the Torah, a lot of people had different physical or cognitive disabilities. We know that Isaac became blind when he was a little bit older. He became blind. And again, these things are these holy people, right? They should have been cured. It's not about a cure. It's about working with what we have. So Isaac was blind, and Jacob, right, he had a fight with an angel. Do you guys know that story? He fight with the angel, and from then on, for the rest of his life, the angel hit him in his hip. For the rest of his life, he had a little limp. But yet, he still carried on. And he was Jacob, the father of 12 tribes, our father. It's amazing. There's also the story of Samson. I'm sure many of you know him. He's known for his strength. But did you know, and this is interesting actually, but he had a lot of upper strength, but his legs were limp. He had upper strength, but his legs were not as strong as they were limp. But he figured out, Samson the Great, is known for his strength, and yet his legs were limp. It's really amazing to think about how so many of us have struggles, and sometimes we'll be like, well, this is a struggle, so I'm just going to do the other thing. You know, I'm going to do, and yet that's why these people were so wonderful and so great, because they have these disabilities and they did it anyway. It's really amazing. So, because there's a reason and a purpose for everything, even our external differences, again, are that reflection of the image of God. Hashem did it for a reason. And our bodies, our physical bodies, are a reflection of Hashem. When we treat another with dignity, not despite of, but because of the way they look, that's when we're really, really respecting Hashem. This is just a little tidbit, by the way. This is not actual fact. But the actual fact is that the Holy Temple had a ramp. It had a ramp in the front altar, and where everybody would bring up sacrifices. Now, the simple reason is because the priests who were in the Holy Temple wore robes, and we wanted to keep, they were keeping the commandment of being modest, and so they had ramps. But this is what we think. We think that it was the first communal building with a wheelchair accessible ramp. And this is way before it was the PC thing to do. They didn't have any rules or regulations in the Holy Temple. No, this was the first ramp. Now, of course, the reason is not, it doesn't say anywhere that there was wheelchairs, but let's take note of this, okay? Okay. Now, so now we know the Torah's perspective. Now, how are we going to implement the Torah's perspective into our community, into our schools, into our classrooms, and into our